Good evening, folks. Dr. Freedom here. Let me adjust my chair just a little bit. And we're going to talk about some Doctor Who news. A lot of it hit tonight with the Blogger Who article. A bunch of other stuff just got released. All right, apparently episodes 7 and 8, the Zygon ones. Well, the first one's going to be called Invasion of the Zygons, and the second one's going to be called Inversion of the Zygons. Interesting titles, but when you read the description, it's a bit, out of there, because I would have preferred something like the Zygon Uprising or something like that, but that's me, and plus we haven't had a good invasion in a while, so there we go. Okay, there's a lot to go through tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on it, okay, because I got a bunch of articles I want to skip through. I'm going to leave URLs, or sorry, I keep saying URLs. I'll have the links for these below in the description box if you want to read them in any detail, because there's a lot to look at tonight. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? Let's get busy, as I used to say on the Arsenio show. Okay, first up, this is over on the Daily Star. Now, this is what they have. Now, a special feature, or a special story will feature only old phone and camera footage showing the Time Lord's followers filming their attempts to fight a monster. The episode will echo the sci-fi movie Cloverfield, which is based on video recordings left by a group of New Yorkers filming their struggle against a giant creature. And this is the one that Brian mentioned, says we were considering not even having opening titles and just running the footage. Now, this is just one of several surprises for Series 9. Instead, Doctor Who's always been about taking risks. It's never sat down and done a normal episode. It's always done something extraordinary. Our audience likes to be challenged. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Let's pop down here. Here we go. The Doctor and Claire are excited about the idea of adventures this series, but that's a dangerous thing to do. They can't have a good time for too long. They have to pay for it. The Doctor, of course, has had a profound knowledge of the past and future, and he knows things will come off in the end. He is aware that darkness will fall. Now, remember, this is just part of the Brian mentioned stuff, which we're going to go into a little bit more in a minute. Okay, now, these are interviews with Peter Capaldi and Ingrid Oliver. These were put up over on Blogger tonight. It was part of a midnight special deal for over in the UK. Now, he actually got to go onto the set over on for Series 9, and this is what he ran into. I'm sorry if I'm going to skip around a bit, because there's a lot of, just hooey that doesn't matter. Okay, one of the interesting things was Capaldi saying, I have to approve toys and things that come out in Christmas, so they bring me toys to look at. There's a Mr. Potato Head coming out, so I had to approve my own Mr. Potato Head. I kept going, is the hair right? It's very gray. Is it supposed to be gray? And they said, yes, your hair is gray. And I think my hair is brown, your color. Well, okay. With the Christmas special, yeah, he mentioned how the hoodie thing got started. And he goes, there's going to be some specific trousery things that are happening for specific reasons. That'll become clear to you when you watch the show. So keep your eye on his pants. That sounds wrong, doesn't it? Very wrong. Okay, but let's keep skipping down here. Okay, they were treated to a scene from the new Zygon 2-parter, and he goes, he suggested Invasion of the Zygons is quite an old school title. He goes, I love an invasion. It's been a while since we had one. He goes, we had a great scene. We chased the Zygon around a supermarket, and he hid among the pizzas. This is what we do, and this is how we roll. We get Zygons into a supermarket, and we chase them. They're fantastic. They look amazing. I was very lucky. And then he goes into the story about how he had originally met James Atchison over on Dangerous Liaisons. And he goes, because he worked on Doctor Who, he went on the great success in the Clayman movies. All I wanted to do was talk to him about the Zygons. He created those things with limited resource, and I think it's a great testament to his talent. All right, that happened a lot in those days. You had people that worked at the BBC and moved on to movies because the BBC was a great place where people could learn in a very demanding environment to enjoy, how best to deploy their skills. Let's keep going down. Okay. All right. That's why I think. All right. It's great that there are so many people who are fans of the show and who love the show. Love the show. Who make it. And sorry. And that's why I think it's always been the same since it came back. That's why it's been successful, because despite the fact it's a worldwide brand, it's essentially made by people who love it. And it also means it'll go the extra mile if you're working on something that you were less connected to, that you might not put in that extra time or that extra effort to try and make it look better or sound better. And there's a lot of big fans on the show. Now, he describes the story as very urban, handheldy, and modern and realistic. He goes, now remember, he's talking about the Zygon episode. This one's quite dark. One of the things the show hasn't done in its current invention is to reflect current events very much, but I think this one does. It's a good thing. You'll see some fundamentalist arguments. It's a very interesting to play with that. He goes, all right, and then he goes on to talk about Ingrid Oliver, and he asked if she'd be a future companion. He said she could very well be. Peter's asked how the new unit family seems to have been established. With Kate Stewart and Osgood. He goes, it's lovely having them all. It's great. We've even had 5 rounds rapid the other day. Now that's for you classic fans. You'll know what I'm talking about there. All right, Series 9 has more 2-parters than usual. He goes, he asked Peter how he felt about it. He goes, it's great because you get cliffhangers. So that's lovely. It's always fantastic to have Doctor Who cliffhangers. The screeching sound of the soundtrack, that's brilliant. It sort of gives you a bit more time. There's more places to go with the story and more character development. I think it'll be good. Some of them are 3-parters, and there's 1-parters. It's a good development. It allows the writers a bit more time with their characters and story. The thing about Doctor Who is you must never trust Doctor Who. His knowledge of the past and future is comprehensive, deep, and not quite human. So in his human form, I think he's decided, knowing how dark it can get outside, that he's going to have a good time. But as always, in Doctor Who, no good time is left unpunished, and he laughs. Okay. Talks about Jenna Coleman. She's great fun. We have a wonderful time. I just think she's brilliant. We work in very similar ways. I love that she's from Blackpool, my favorite place. What she does a lot this season is she helps the Doctor relate more effectively with human beings because he can't be arsed. Now, she has little strategies to help him be better, which is good fun. Then he moves on to discuss another co-star, Michelle Gomez. He goes, our relationship is slightly different in that story, Magician's Apprentice, which is familiar, than it was before. We're sort of on the same side. And he goes, he asks if there'll be a Dr. Master team-up, and he goes, well, not quite. Because I love the Master. It's good to have him/her back, and Michelle's the perfect person to play that part. I think Stephen has the most audacious ideas, and he's very brave with them, and I think that it works. Now, in the time that's passed in Series 8, he asked Peter why he has any standout episodes in 2014. If he has any standouts. He goes, I always have a soft spot for Listen because it's a very different kind of episode. It's about what the Doctor does when he's not having adventures. What does he think about? What does he get on with? But I like all of them. They're great. It's just a shame to pick just one. Now, like Peter, Ingrid Oliver is Smiler and Giggler, and often she gusses adorably about how lucky he is not only to be in Doctor Who, but to have her turn. And self-facing at every turn, Ingrid has mentioned how upset she was to die in the Series 8 finale, Death in Heaven, and how lead writer Stephen Moffat didn't let on about her rebirth. And then he goes into the part where he interviews Ingrid Oliver. I'm going to leave that bit for you all to read, okay? Because we got a lot to go into. This is where it gets interesting. There are some minor spoilers here, so this is now your attempt to turn off and go away. I don't want to hear, oh, there were spoilers. No, sorry. Here's your warning. 3, 2, 1. Too bad. Okay. Let's move on down. Okay. Let's get to the good stuff, shall we? All right. Now, this is Brian Minchin, who's going to sat down with him. Okay, these are his thoughts on each episode. All right, The Magician's Apprentice, which is familiar. He goes, I asked if there was going to be a blogger asked if there was going to be a cinema launch for Series 9 in the same way Deep Breath kicked off Series 8 in cinemas around the world last year. But due to that big, and Brian stressed, big cliffhanger, it was decided not to, as the production team didn't want to show it as a 2-parter together. Now, the show will feature a snake made of other snakes, and the Doctor and Missy will be on the same side, sort of. There's also going to be many other surprises in store in this episode. Classic fans, do not start banging your heads and saying it's the Mara. I went to this last year where I was sitting there talking to friends of mine, and they always said, it's got to be this, it's got to be this, it's got to be the spiders, it's got to be the crinoid, it's got to be... And it turns out, no, you get new stuff. Sure, it's very similar to the old stuff, but come on, guys, don't anticipate. Chances are, no, it's probably not going to be the Mara, so get that out of your heads now. All right, episode 3 and 4. This 2-parter from Toby Woodhouse gives us ghosts in an underwater base, girl who died, woman who lived. Maisie Williams will see Vikings in space and highwaymen. Invasion of the Zygons, inversion of the Zygons. On set, we witness the Zygon chasing down Osgood in Mexico while she texts the Doctor for help. It's pitched as a sequel to the 8th anniversary special Era of the Zygons and features the whole world in rogue Zygons. And I have number 9. This will be unlike any other Doctor Who story ever broadcast, utilizing a style unused in the show, and it certainly makes for a fascinating idea and something I'm sure fans will get excited about. And no, it's not a musical. Controversially, this episode might not feature the Doctor Who title sequence. So they're going for a Cloverfield/Blair Witch Project thing. It sounds like a 9. All right, 10. This episode is being simply described as Invasion of Invisible Streets. 11. The big news about the penultimate episode of Series 9 is that it's what's known in the business as a quote-unquote one-hander. This means it's set to star Peter Capaldi by himself, which explains why they didn't have, what do you call it, Jenna Coleman's thing at that read-through. That was the only script you saw on the table. All right, finally, I pointed out to Brian that they didn't tell us anything about the last installment of Doctor Who Series 9, and with a wry smile, he turned and he replied, "That's right, I didn't." So, if you want to read through this again, in case you think I skipped past something important, once again, link below in the description box. We'll take it. Description box. We'll take it to any one of these articles. Okay. Now this is Stephen Moffat, and this is a slightly different description from the one I've read before. Okay, episodes 1 and 2 form a doubleheader that starts with the Doctor missing and involves a search to find him. Remember, I gave you a spoiler warning a little while back. Stephen refers to it as Star Warsy. Now, 3 and 4 features the underwater base full of ghosts, with Stephen making interesting references to the idea that time travel could potentially let you meet your own ghost. Because I've always wanted to do ghosts in Doctor Who. Ghost plus time travel always strikes me as a very strange idea. Episode 5, for this teams up Jamie Matheson with Stephen Moffat, features Vikings, and this is where the Doctor meets Maisie Williams, and is described as a really good Dr. Clara one, and it's quite emotional. Number 6, and this is by Torchwood writer Catherine Trujina. Features Rufus Hound as a highwayman and involves a very different take on Doctor Who. It's an eloquent, heartfelt, and very character-driven episode. 7 and 8, written by Peter Harness. There's another two-parter that sees the return of the Zygons, and of course this is an invasion of the Zygons and inversion of the Zygons, respectively. He goes, it feels like we did a finale in the middle of the show, Stephen reveals. It's got that kind of scale and gravitas and fun and real drama. I constructed, in part, the 8th anniversary story as a prequel to it and as a prologue. Doctor Who, all right, this is episode 9. This is Mark Gatiss' script. This is the one we've already gone over. 10, from a new Who writer called Sarah Dollard, who worked on BBC's The Game, and Stephen says, quote, unquote, it's a terrific idea. It leapt out at me as, why haven't we done this already? And, of course, we've read part of that before. Okay, and as for the finale, he goes, I'm not saying very much, but there's plenty to say, God knows. Now, of course, Peter Capaldi tells the monster from Doctor Who he loved the face. He goes, often I'm asked that question. I picked the most obscure one, like the Chumleys from the William Hartnell Hotel Galaxy 4. He goes, I would like the Daemons because they're a little bit black magic-y, but a little bit supernatural. I like monsters that are not just sci-fi, but have got a good horror movie kind of element to them. All right, let's keep going. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff to cover tonight. Very sorry. Okay, if this is what's going to be in SFX 265, if you haven't read it already, or if you haven't picked it up, actually it should be available, tomorrow. All right. The latest edition of SFX features a special look at the forthcoming series of Doctor Who. Chatting to it stars Peter Capaldi, Jenna Coleman, and lead writer Stephen Moffat. And talking about the evolution of the Doctor, Capaldi said, what I find interesting is that the Doctor is a little sort of looking for himself, so he's changed to some degree. He still has the same concerns and worries and darkness, if you like, but he's embracing the present. But that's really because he has a profound knowledge of the past and future. Then they go into Jenna Coleman. Steve Moffat throws in some more notes. And like I said, I'm going to leave the rest of this for you guys to look at for yourself. All right, same with this here. This is a beautiful interview with Peter Capaldi by Dana Geek. And this was on a June visit to the Doctor Who studios in Cardiff, and they're just now putting this out. So there was some interesting stuff discussed in this one. And I'm going to say he takes some different takes here, but remember, this is from an earlier interview, but I felt I should throw it up so you guys can take a look at it for yourselves, okay? All right, Doctor Who Magazine 490, issue of Doctor Magazine 490 is going to be on sale from Thursday. And Stephen Moffat's going to preview the new series of Doctor Who. And, of course, he's talking about episode 1 and 2 here. And, like I said, if you're interested in this, going to be out Thursday. Okay. Now, Peter Capaldi channels both the 3rd and 5th Doctor in the new Series 9 picture. This is what they meant. Basically, the similarities in his costume, as you've seen before, very, very reminiscent of the Pertwee era. But then he hit this photo. They're like, wait a minute, what does that have to do with the 5th Doctor? Scroll down. This photo came out back in the 80s. of the Doctor and Master back-to-back staring at the camera. And that's why I thought was very reminiscent of this particular photo here. So it's kind of weird that this person was that guy. Okay. Mission Dalek. Now, the BBC has announced Mission Dalek, a new project that gives the fans a chance to create their own adventures with the Doctor. Now, Mission Dalek is going to be part of the BBC's Make It Digital season, and the aim is to get fans of the series to use their imagination and digital skills to create an adventure for the Doctor. Now, the aim is to unleash your digital creativity, whether it is in video, animation, or image editing. You can use some of the range of clips and images supplied by the BBC, or create your own story from scratch. Now, animation is allowed, as are voiceovers and cosplay. All you need to do is tell your story digitally. Now, for UK participants, there's an added bonus of a chance to win a trip to the Doctor Who set and to meet Peter Capaldi. Now, full detailed resources are available on Mission Dalek homepage, which you can get to through right here. And also, you may want to look at this trailer because there's some interesting little tidbits that are thrown in with this one that I think you'll find interesting. So you may want to watch the Mission Dalek trailer if you have not yet. Some pretty interesting little throw-ins there. Okay, next up, Lethbridge-Stewart books update. Now, the Candy Jar books have released a revised schedule for the upcoming Lethbridge-Stewart, the range of books that follow the career of the character prior to him becoming Unit's most memorable operative. Now, unforeseen circumstances have led to the delay in the publishing of the second in the series, The Skitsway Earth. And then he explains right here, if you want to go into it. The revised publication dates are listed below, along with their respective covers, including a new version of The Skitsway Earth by Adrian Salmon. The titles can also be pre-ordered directly from Candy Jar Books website. So right here. So if you want to know when these are coming out, this one's going to be out on the 25th of September now. This one's 23rd October, 20th of November. And the story of Colonel Alistair Lethbridge-Stewart is fully licensed by the executor of the Hazeman Literary Estate, Mervyn Hazeman's granddaughter, Hannah Hazeman, and endorsed by Henry Lincoln. So, if you're interested in the Lethbridge-Stewart series that's going to be coming out, boom, here it is. Okay, don't worry, we're almost there, folks. All right, music of Doctor Who. We went over this briefly before. This latest special edition from the team behind Doctor Magazine delves into the musical world of Doctor Who, and this is out now. And also, if you want a little more details on about it right here, take a look at it. Very interesting cover. I like that cover. It's pretty nice. And lastly for today, yes, we've made it to the end. Jago and Litefoot and Strax, The Haunting. This will be out in November. Here's the trailer for it. It's only about a minute, a little over a minute long. And this is the very funny story. That's going to be a one-off where Strax, for some reason, loses his, he gets his mind scrambled. And he thinks Henry Gordon Jago and Professor Litefoot are Madame Vastra and Jenny. And it's just going to be a laugh a minute. It sounds like it's going to be an interesting pair-up. Now, for you folks who are unaware, Jago and Litefoot were introduced back in the Talons of Wang Chiang. And they've had several very successful series on Big Finish audio. And the thing is, they are set right there in London in the 1890s, 19th century. So I'm always wondering, sooner or later, the Paternoster Row Gang and Jago and Litefoot were going to bump heads. Now, they couldn't do it on the TV series very easily because it's been going on 40-something years since they premiered, and they're going on the assumption, of course, right now they're still the same age and whatnot. But on audio, it would be beautiful. They get the whole team together. I'm looking forward to hearing this one. Well, that's all I got for you tonight, guys. Like I said, a lot of stuff coming out tonight. Keep in mind, we got 2 more titles, which could be episode 7 and 8, which is Invasion of the Zygons and Inversion of the Zygons. We got some interesting descriptions of the series. And if there's anything you want to go back that you think I've missed, please go down below in the description box, look up any of these articles, read them for yourself. And if you think you want anything you want to add to the conversation, please put it in the comment box below. I've been trying to keep up on comments. Like I said, I work a job. Like I said, I've been really falling behind on the Facebook page. Very sorry, folks out there, but I'm doing the best I can. This is a one-man band, okay? Well, until tomorrow, guys, I'll see you all later. See you on the flip side. Dr. Freedom out. Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.